Namaste and welcome to your practice today. So this practice is going to be a little bit more of a yang energy, so creating a little bit more movement and a little bit more heat in our practice. It's going to be 30 minutes and please don't skip the Shavasana, but you can also go from this practice into the yin practice, which is also part of this week's package, to create a full hour of balance of yin and yang, or do them separately, depending on the time of day and what your body is feeling and what you really need, and really listen to what your body is telling you rather than just push, push, push. So sometimes this yang practice is great for when you're feeling really sluggish and you need to get moving, because it gets the energy moving and the fire moving so that we can get through our day. Or sometimes we've had a really crazy day and we just need to work through some stuff and release before we're able to settle down for a more yin practice, which is what our nervous system really needs. So either way, have fun with this practice. And let's go ahead and get started in standing. So coming into mountain pose. And just taking a moment to root down. I'm actually recording this class on a full moon. You may not be practicing this class on a full moon, however. But we all need to really ground down, whether it's a full moon or not. Just these times that we're in, we all need a little bit of grounding. So let's root down into our feet. Feel all four corners of your feet and see if you can feel the texture of your mat without looking at it, with just the sense of touch through your feet. And then let's begin to move with our breath. So turning the palms up, let's inhale and reach up. And exhale, bring your palms back towards earth. And let's just do this a few times, connecting with our breath here as we settle into our space and our movement. And using the exhale to ground down and the inhale breath to lift our energy a little bit. And let's do one more just like this. Inhaling up and exhale as though you're pressing the air back down towards the earth. This time as we inhale up, palms reach up, let the palms come together. Intertwine your fingers and send the palms up and look up. Stay grounded through your feet as you stretch up. Look up, and maybe there's just the slightest of back bend as you lift your heart. And then as we exhale, let's bow down. Let's pause for a moment in our forward fold, bending the knees as much as you need to so that belly can come to the thighs. Whatever that looks like for you with this very first pose of our practice. And then inhale, lengthen your heart forward and send the sit bones back. Let's step right foot back, coming into a lunge. So we're just going to open a little bit through the hamstrings and the quads and the psoas so that we can get moving through our practice with a little more ease. So I like to rock back and forth, especially when I'm doing a more yang practice. Just getting some of that energy moving through the calves and through the feet, through the arches, which ground us to the earth. And then on your next exhale, let's send it back to reverse lunge. Your hands could be on blocks here. You could be up on your fingertips. And know that your front leg might not come completely straight, but we're really pressing into that heel. And that's helping to open and activate those hamstrings. And then let's rock it forward, come back into our lunge. We're going to actually rock forward and float off of that back foot into a little bit of a, let's call it standing splits. But because we're just beginning to open, it's not going to be real deep. Maybe it looks more like a warrior 3 position. And then let's float that foot back. Plant your right hand either on your block or on your mat. We're going to twist to the left. So draw your hips towards center. Get that belly moving to your left and up to the ceiling and reach it up. Keep drawing the thighs, the hips toward one another. Maybe you look up, maybe you'll just look off to the side, maybe you even stay looking down. And then exhale, bring that arm down. Sorry, I've got alarms going off on my clock. And then we're going to step it back into downward facing dog. Walk your dog out here a little bit. Bend your knees. Let's do some little bit of down dog accordions. Bend your knees, draw your belly towards your thighs. Press the top of the mat away from you. And then lift up, come forward to plank. Come back into down dog, bend your knees, send the belly to the thighs. And then come forward to plank. Let's do one more like that. Bending the knees, belly to the thighs, and then spring forward to plank pose. Let's lower the knees, do a couple of rounds of cat-cow. So even though we're creating a more yang class, I don't want to just jump into it before our body has an opportunity to warm up a little bit. Using your exhale to press the mat away. Inhale to open, and then we're going to come forward onto our bellies. So you can do that from plank if you wish to lower down. You can keep the knees lowered and lower down, knees, chin, chest. And then draw the heart forward, extend the feet back, come up into your cobra. Keep extending the legs back and actually release your hands either to your sides, palm facing midline, or intertwine your fingers. Begin to send the knuckles back towards the feet as you lift and open through the heart center. And try not to crank your neck back. Try to lengthen the back of your neck at the same time. And then release your hands down, press up and back, child's pose. Take a nice deep breath into the back body to fill the low back after that little back bend. And then let's inhale, rise up, exhale into your downward facing dog. Let's raise that right leg slowly up to the sky in three-legged dog. As we exhale, draw that knee towards your nose, curl up, lift up. And either step, if it's hard for you to step to the top of your mat, step to the outside of your hand, or step between your hands. So we're in a lunge on our second side. If you've stepped to the outside, walk that foot in. And let's do the same little exercise that we did on the first side. So let's start by rocking, opening up that left arch, that left calf. Just kind of moving the energy through that leg, and then exhale, reverse lunge. Press into that front heel. Walk your hands or your blocks back to support you, and you might have your torso just parallel to the floor, or you might be folding over that leg. Take one more breath here. And then as we inhale, rock it forward, come back into your lunge. Just like we were rocking before, you're going to lift that back leg up into whatever depth of sort of standing splits that you might be capable of in this very beginning of the class. And then float that foot back down. Plant that left hand, moving into our twist. And remember, the belly is twisting up towards the ceiling, following your gaze. And lengthening from that bottom center of your palm all the way up to the top fingertips. Take one more breath here. And let's exhale that hand down, step it forward into our forward fold. Exhale, bow down. Now let's bring the hands to the back of the calves. Let's sit low and reach your heart forward. Release your hands, reach it up, come into chair, lift your belly off your thighs, press into the earth, come all the way up, circle your arms wide to your heart center. Take a moment to reground in your mountain pose, and we're going to continue to build on that and warming the body as we go. So inhale, reach to the sky. Let's intertwine our fingers, palms up. Maybe invite a little back bend if you're ready for it, and then release the palms as we exhale, fold forward. Inhale, lift halfway. Let's exhale, step our left foot to the back of the mat. And from here, we're going to rise up into crescent moon. So bringing the arms up, pressing into both feet. We're up on the back toes, so it's a little bit of a balance for some of us. And we're lifting the energy up, maybe even lifting your gaze up. Let's open the side body a little bit here. Grab your left wrist with your right hand and side bend over to your right. So we're opening up the left side body, that left hip flexor. And for me, it's chronically tight, so this feels wonderful every time I do this, no matter what's going on in my day. And then let's come back to center, release hands down. Now we're just going to step forward into that standing splits, like we did when we were in our lunge before. And maybe it might be a little bit deeper this time, maybe not. Gently float that foot to the back of your mat. Step back, downward facing dog. Come forward to plank. Let's create a little bit of heat here. Actually, bring your feet just hip width apart, and let's float that right foot up, and maybe bring that foot to the heel of your left foot in your plank. Let's float it up again, bring it back down, drop down to your knees, cat-cow. And at any time, if what we're doing is too much for what's happening in your body, in this particular moment in time, you can always drop down and do some cat-cows. You can always come into child's pose or down dog if we're playing in plank. Make it work for you. Plank pose. Let's float the left foot up. You can bring it to the heel of your back foot, or you can keep it floating. And then bring it down. Cat-cow. You might begin to feel a little bit of heat rising. I know I'm beginning to feel a little bit of heat rising here. Come back into your plank. Now, you can either lower down, knees, chin, chest, or you can lift your right leg, lower down through chaturanga, and come up into your up dog. Those of you who went through knees, chin, chest, you can rise up into your cobra pose, giving you options to add a little bit more fire to your practice, or keep it lower where you're working without losing your form. Let's all find our way back into downward facing dog. So let's float left leg to the sky in three-legged dog from your down dog. And exhale, bend your knee, draw your knee and rise up high on your right toes. And either step it to the outside of your foot and walk it in, or step it in between your hands, whichever works for you. We're coming into our crescent lunge on our second side. So let's press into both feet and rise up. A little bit of a balance pose for us here. Lifting the heart, keeping that bend in the front knee, whatever amount, and then grab that right wrist. And we're side bending over to the right. Opening through that right hip flexor, right side body, lifting up and over. Take one more breath. Come back to center. Hands come down to the mat. Remember, we're going to float into our standing splits here. So step it forward. Each time we do our standing split, you might find that you're able to lift that back leg a little bit more. Float it back down. And now we're just simply stepping forward. Lift the heart. As you inhale, exhale, bow down, and let's bend the knees deeply. Once again, ground your feet down. Inhale, reach up, lift the belly off the thighs into a low chair. Press, lift, rise, circle around, come to heart center. Let's just take a breath or two to reset here in your mountain pose, Samasti Tihi. And now we're going to take a few of the elements that we've been working with standing splits and with our lunges. We're going to create a little sequence that we're going to repeat a couple of times. So we'll do the first one slow, and then we'll continue and do it with the breath, with the inhale and the exhale to really build some heat quickly in the body. So let's inhale, reach up to the sky. As we exhale, we're folding, bowing to the earth.
Reminding ourselves to stay grounded. Inhale. We lengthen the spine as we lift the heart. Exhale, let's step both feet back into downward facing dog. Take a moment to inhale, lengthen the spine, lift the pelvis up off of the waist. And now, let's start with our right foot. So three-legged dog, we've done all of these moves so far. Exhale, we're stepping it up between the hands or to the outside of your hand and walking it in, or hands on your blocks to give you more space to do that. We rise up, crescent moon, lifting, opening, rising energy here. And then slowly exhale your hands down, shifting into standing split. So we shift it forward. Lifting that floating leg, the left leg, folding over that thigh. And then float that foot back down. We're going to rise into our crescent moon again. Lifting it up. And then exhale, hands come down. The front foot, our right foot, we're going to draw it back all the way up into three-legged dog. Beautiful. Stretch it up. Now we're just going to keep it up there. Step it up between your hands or to the outside of your hand. We're going to do it again. So step that right foot forward, same side. We inhale, rise up, finding your balance. Maybe a gentle pause at the top of the inhale. We exhale. Hands come down for standing splits. We shift it forward. Any variation, you can come into the balance if you wish. Float that foot gracefully down. Rise up into your crescent lunge. Hands come down. Draw that front foot, your right foot back, three-legged dog. Reach it up. Let's do one more round. You're getting this. Step it up between your hands or to the outside to help facilitate getting it there. Inhale, crescent lunge. The exhale, standing splits, hands come down, shift it forward. Float that foot down. We're inhaling crescent lunge for our second time in this little sequence. Exhale, hands come down. Draw that right foot up and back. Three-legged dog. Float it down, come into down dog. I'm going to give you option to take a flow here and flush this out before we do second side. Some of you might just want to come into cat-cow for a couple of rounds. Some of you might come into child's pose. If you're flowing and you did the one-legged plank, do the other side this time. And we'll all meet in downward facing dog. Let's move into our second side. Once we're all in down dog, keep that warmth, that heat, that tapas moving. Let's float left leg to the sky, three-legged dog. Rise up high on your right toes. We're going to step it forward either to the outside or inside. Remember, you can have your blocks under your hands to give you more space between your body and the floor. Inhale, crescent lunge. So we're lifting the heart, lifting the arms, lifting our gaze just slightly to help lift the energy for our day. And then slowly exhale, hands down. So we're shifting forward onto that left foot. Right leg floats up, standing splits. Any variation you wish to take here. Float that back foot down on an exhale. Your crescent lunge for the second round in this sequence. Lift it up. And then as we exhale, hands come down. Your front foot, your left foot comes back, sweep it back, three-legged dog. And then we just simply step it up again. Rise on an inhale, crescent moon. Exhale, slowly the hands come down, standing splits. Fold over that front leg. Gracefully touch that foot down for our crescent lunge, second time in this round. Exhale, hands come down. Gracefully drag that left foot back. Three-legged dog, last round. You should be nice and warm. Step it up on an exhale. Inhale, bring it up. Maybe a gentle pause at the top of your inhale. The exhale, hands come down for standing splits. Inhale, float that foot down, rise up. Last one. Exhale, hands come down. Drag that left foot up and back. Three-legged dog, float that foot down. And same choice as before. You might stay in down dog. You might take a flow. You might come down to child's pose. Or you might just go through a few rounds of cat-cow for your heart opener. Either way, we're all going to meet in child's pose for just a couple breaths. And then let's all inhale up. Find your way back into downward facing dog. Let's just bring a little more light into our core here before we wind it down just a little bit. So we're going to do, I call it dancing dog. And again, have your hands on blocks if you wish. Float your right leg up. As you exhale, draw your knee to your nose and rise up as though you're doing cat pose. Inhale, reach it up. Exhale to your elbow, your right elbow, and then see if you can slide that leg up a little bit to your tricep. Inhale it up. This time we're going to opposite elbow. And an option here, pivot on your back foot so that you're on your inner arch. And maybe you extend that foot. Maybe you keep both hands down and slide that foot on the floor. And then we come back. Come into child's pose or into tabletop. Give your wrists a break before we do second side. We're almost there. You guys got this. I'm starting to feel heat, which doesn't happen very often. And then let's do our second side. So from down dog, we float left leg up. Exhale, knee to nose. You can do this from tabletop too if your wrists are sore. Inhale up. Exhale, left elbow. And then see if you can slide that knee up to your tricep. Step it back. Downward facing dog. Now the last one. Inhale it up. Exhale, right elbow. So your opposite elbow. And then your options. You can just extend that foot on the floor. You can rotate onto the inner foot on your right and reach it up. Whoops. Fallen triangle it's called, and I almost fell over. And come on back to downward facing dog. Let's bring the knees down or take a flow. Come into child's pose or take one more flow to open the front body. And then from whichever pose you're in, be it child's pose or down dog, we're going to come forward onto our bellies. So however you wish to get there, come onto your belly. Let's come into Sphinx pose. Palms down, elbows retracting back, heart drawing forward, feet extending back. And then let's slide the hands straight forward. I'm going to not bring my head all the way down because it stifles my microphone. But palms down, hands shoulder width apart. Your forehead starts down. We're going to inhale, lift the heart, lift the palms, lift the feet,
And as you exhale, draw the elbows back. Maybe you lift a little higher. Let's do this 2 more times. Inhale, lengthen. Palms can be lifted. If it's too much, bring your palms to the floor. Exhale, draw the elbows back, lift. 1 more time. Inhale. Exhale, cactus the arms. Draw the shoulder blades together. Pause here for 1 more breath. And release it down. Palms underneath your forehead. You can rock your hips from side to side. Breathe into your belly. Couple breaths here. I like to also, after any active back bends, bend my knees and just windshield washer the shins from side to side, letting the hips roll. Just a really nice release. And then when you're ready, press back, child's pose. Let's inhale, coming up. We've got 1 more pose we're going to do before we wind it down for your Shavasana. And so I'm going to give you a couple of options. I'm going to show you the simplest inversion. Those of you who can do headstand, can do or forearm balance, can do that against the wall or in the middle of the room if that's your thing. Those of you who aren't interested in doing a full headstand or it's just not your thing, you can come into dolphin and I'll demonstrate this one. So palms can be down or intertwining your fingers. So it's like down dog except you're on your elbows and your forearms. And just lift the knees up. And so you can stay right here. Or you can walk your feet a little closer to your elbows, which brings your hips a little more over your shoulders. Press the floor away from you to lift up. And maybe you've done all those standing splits. Maybe you float one leg up for a little while. So we're getting an inversion, a full inversion on half of our body. And then float it down. Float the other leg up. So it's almost like I'm in a forearm balance or headstand, but I've still got 1 foot down. And whichever variation, if you're doing both legs at once or one at a time, when you're ready, you're going to come back into child's pose and let the blood come back into equilibrium in the brain before we come upright. Couple more breaths in your child's pose. And then when we're ready, you're just going to come into a seat with knees bent, hands behind you. Bring your feet wide. We're just going to let the knees windshield washer. And as the knees go over to the side, lift your heart a little bit. Come back to center. It's like a little bit of cat-cow as I come back to center. Curl in a little bit, and as we drop the knees, lift the heart. Curl in back to center. Inhale, lift the heart. Exhale, back to center. Inhale. Inhale to the side. Let's do 1 more time each side. And you might find you're walking a little bit on your mat. And then as we come back to center, let's go ahead and lie down. We're almost at our 30-minute mark. Grab your timer, or maybe you want to play a song for your Shavasana on your phone or your device. But please don't skip Shavasana. And even if you're moving into the next practice for your cool down, it's really nice to take a moment just lying in a big wide Shavasana before you shift into the next energy of yin. So let your feet be wide. Let your arms be wide. And let yourself just settle. whether it's your mini Shavasana before going into the next practice, or your full Shavasana, no less than 3 minutes, preferably 5 or 7 minutes, to let every cell in your body absorb the energy that you created and that you moved around with your breath, and begin to consolidate that energy so that you have it with you throughout your day. So as you settle into your Shavasana, again, don't skip it. I'm going to say namaste and have an amazing day. And we'll see you in the next practice.